The best build for the Herta. She's finally here, and you want to know her best light cones, best teammates, best relic sets, everything like that, how you should be playing her. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. And no, I'm not talking about the inferior doll version of Herta. I'm talking about her actual self. Though I think some people like Rexlent probably wouldn't call the small doll version inferior. Nowhere's no. Anyways, gamers, let's go ahead and start the year off right with the best build for the Herta, going into a kit breakdown first, and then we'll talk about the build after that. So there's a quick way to explain how the Herta works. I can break it down to 3 different parts. Number 1, inspiration. Number 2, interpretation. Number 3, having other erudition characters on the team. And now you're probably like, what the fuck did you just say, you two? Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna get into that, guys. First of all, guys, she's gonna have 2 different stacks, that being inspiration and that being interpretation. Interpretation is kind of like a debuff that you're putting on the enemy, and then inspiration is kind of a buff that she's giving to herself to help her get to her enhanced skill attack, because yes, she has a normal skill attack and then an enhanced skill attack as well. So the best way to hop into it here is actually by the talent. So what the talent's going to be doing, guys, is whenever enemies enter the field, you'll be inflicting 1 stack of interpretation to every single enemy. At the start of each wave, you will then be inflicting 25 extra stacks of interpretation on every single enemy. So for example, guys, how this would work is if you go into something like Memory of Chaos, you go into battle, right? They're immediately going to get 1 stack because they have to enter the battle, and then when that wave actually starts, they're getting 25 stacks. So everyone in the first turn, if you're not using technique or anything like that, should realistically start out with 26 stacks of interpretation. Now these stacks are going to be randomized, but they do have priority on elite target enemies. This means the little fodder mobs, sure, they can get some because it is still randomized. There will be a heavy priority on the actual elite itself. And basically what these stacks of interpretation do, guys, will be giving you enhanced damage from your enhanced skill attack, and you'll be getting a damage increase for each one of these stacks. But where this gets really interesting at, guys, and like I mentioned before, erudition characters, if you have 1 additional erudition character on the team, it works like Acheron in a way. You're basically going to be doubling the damage buff that these stacks provide. And then the final thing that this talent's going to be doing, guys, is whenever you defeat an enemy, basically you'll be converting the stacks that were on that enemy to random targets on the field. So say you have your 1 elite in the middle, and then maybe you have the little fish on the side, right? You defeat the fish, they all explode or whatever. Then all those stacks from the fish will be converging onto your main elite target. So every time you basically defeat an enemy, those interpretation stacks will be mixed up again, and then prioritizing that elite level enemy. So now with that kind of out of the way, let me go ahead and explain how the skill and enhanced skill works. So her basic skill has 2 different actions to it. First, you'll be hitting 1 main enemy. You'll be then applying interpretation to that 1 enemy. Then it'll hit again, and then hit adjacent targets. This can happen up to 2 times. This means any action-based character or anyone that scales off of having actions will be really good. So Jade, for example, is going to be really, really good here because the amount of actions you take equal the amount of follow-up that she's going to get. So this could in turn help her out a lot. Her enhanced skill attack, guys, will be consuming 1 stack of inspiration. Like I mentioned before, you'll be getting this stack of inspiration from the ultimate move. So we'll talk about the ultimate move after this, but basically this will consume 1 stack of inspiration. After that, guys, it works very similarly to how the normal skill attack actually is going to be working, but it will be doing it with increased damage. And then on top of that, guys, this will have 2 instances to reproc again, like the other one did, and then finally it'll do 1 final burst at the end that hits every single enemy on the field. So this is a massive AoE attack by using your inspiration. So let's go ahead and hop into what our ultimate move's actually going to be doing, because the ultimate move, guys, is going to be rearranging all of the interpretation stacks. So this means all of those stacks you've been putting on the enemy is going to take those and rearrange them. So that means if you had a lot of stacks maybe put on like a basic enemy, it'll be rearranging those stacks and prioritize transferring a higher number of those stacks to an elite level target. Still RNG at the end of the day, but it will be prioritizing those elite level enemies. So that means you're doing more damage to the elite level enemies to get them knocked down quicker as well. On top of this, guys, you'll be hitting every single enemy in the field, increasing her own attack. And on top of this all, she'll be getting an immediate action and be getting 1 stack of inspiration. So this means as soon as you hit the ultimate move, you'll go right back into her turn and then use her enhanced skill attack, dealing an absolute massive amount of damage to the enemy. Now, one thing you do have to keep in mind of, guys, whenever you're using this enhanced skill, it will be removing all of your inspiration stacks. So this means you want as many stacks built up as possible on the enemy before actually using the enhanced skill attack, because the less stacks you have, the less damage you do. Now, I will say having that 1 extra erudition character on the team does make up for that. And then she has other things in her kit that make her absolutely amazing as well. Like she gets increased crit damage, an absolute massive amount of crit damage. She's going to have additional energy regeneration, so this will help with that high costing ultimate move. And then she'll be getting a damage increase as well from this. So she is getting a lot of things that kind of work around with her. As long as you're running her with an erudition character, that's going to be your best bet. And as I mentioned that, let's go ahead now and talk about the best in slot teams, because this goes hand in hand with how you actually want to run her, because if you don't run on the correct team, her damage will fall off by quite a bit. Her best in slot team, guys, is probably going to be a team with her, Robin, Jade, and Hua Hua. Now, why Hua Hua on this team? She gives you energy back. Energy is absolutely massive. She needs a lot of energy, so having this increased energy, they provides energy based off the max energy of the character, is really going to be beneficial. For someone like the Herta, we have Robin there, obviously. Advanced Action 4 gives you attack buff, just gives you all around really good buff to help her do more damage on top of that. And then we have someone like Jade, because Jade will be giving that additional buff to the Herta. On top of that, her attack frequency will be increased for the amount of sheer actions that the Herta is able to provide to her. It's going to make her absolutely pop off. But there are other options you can run. In that support category, guys, you can run someone like Ruan Mei here, get the increased damage bonus, get increased weakness break efficiency, get increased break damage, get increased speed. All very good. Sunday also works really well too, because Sunday is able to provide skill point efficiencies. He's able to provide crit rate, crit damage, and then he also gives her energy back too. So that's really huge to getting her ultimate back up. And then one final one. Remembrance MC, guys, the new MC that we're getting in the game. That is also going to be a very solid option to run on her, because while she does have a really solid and strong pay-to-win team, she also has a really solid and strong free-to-play team as well, which we can go ahead and talk about now, guys. Obviously, for the sustain character, you can run Ling Sha, you could run Lynx, you could really run any sustain character you want. Hua Hua obviously being the best. Well, Ling Sha also works really well here, especially when paired with someone like Jade. You could also run Aventurine here as well. You could run Fu Xuan here for the increased crit rate. That also helps. You could run almost literally any sustain in the game and be fine, so that's why it's pretty free-to-play friendly. And then on top of that, guys, for your other DPS character, because you're only going to be normally running one buff from the team, because this is a dual DPS team, because she does want as much erudition support as possible. For that free-to-play option, run Herta, the normal Herta. Her and her work hand in hand together. They both hit all targets. They're both erudition, so you'll be getting the additional buff for the Herta. And honestly, Herta is a really good match. And if you want to see a build guide on that, please subscribe to the channel, because that video is coming out very, very soon. And we'll be doing a full in-depth build guide on Herta, the doll, not the real one that looks like a mommy. And what I really like about the Herta in these team situation, guys, is that, like I said, she has a very free-to-play friendly team. I think that she probably has one of the best free-to-play friendly teams in the game. So I do think if you're watching this video and you haven't picked the Herta up already, I do genuinely think she'll probably be a pretty decent pickup for your account, just because she can work so well with actual free-to-play non-summonable units in the game. So that's something to be noted as well. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty here, guys, the part you've been waiting for. Light cones and relics. So first of all, guys, let's go ahead and start off with the light cones first. And this is also very free-to-play friendly, unless you want the best in slot option, which is her signature light cone, obviously. Our signature light cone is obviously going to be the best in slot option. It does the most for her. It just makes her world that much better. Now, copying into the second best in slot, Eternal Calculus, free Herta Shop light cone. Second best in slot option. That's really all that I have to know here, guys. If you didn't want to run this, maybe you're running the Eternal Calculus on someone else, you could always opt in to run something like Today is Another Peaceful Day, which is the Battle Pass light cone, which scales off the amount of energy you have. You will have no problem hitting the energy cap on the light cone. Trust me on that one. So you'll be getting max damage buff from that. And also you could run something like Sirius as a Breakfast, or the other free-to-play light cone, The Day the Cosmos Fell. I think that's the name of it. You could run either of those two light cones as well, and that also still would work out pretty well for her. That's really all that I want to mention on light cones, guys. I mean, Eternal Calculus being the best, gives her attack buff, gives her speed buff. What else can you really ask for in a light cone? I mean, she needs both of those stats, right? She can basically activate it a lot, so why not get it? Now let's go ahead and talk about her best in slot relics. But before we hop into that, let me scam you real quick. Come here. Subscribe to the channel, please. New year, new you, new me, but not really new me, because I'm going to continue to scam you, okay? So please hit that subscribe button now. I'd really appreciate it. But now let's go ahead and hop into those best in slot relics, because her best in slot relics is already something we have in the game. Guys, the Scholar Lost in Erudition, I mean, I think the name kind of explains it to you already, right? This is going to be her best in slot relic set, guys, because I mean, this set, guys, is going to be giving you an increased 8% to her crit rate, which she needs a lot of. And then on top of this, guys, she's going to be getting increased damage dealt by her skill and ultimate by 20%. And then after using her ultimate ability, you'll be getting an extra 25% damage from your skill too. And oh my god, it's not like we just talked about in the kit breakdown how she gets an immediate action after using her ultimate move. So this set is going to be her best in slot set. Obviously, from how you're getting it here, right? She gets a lot of crit damage, guys. You really don't need crit damage. You really want as much crit rate as possible. This is the best 4-piece set. Now, another alternative 4-piece set you could run, and maybe some people already have this on their account, and that's actually going to be a 4-piece The Frost set, guys. Now, this will be giving you increased ice damage and then increased crit damage as well. Now, while she doesn't need the crit damage that much, the only reason I recommend this set is because some people that maybe have Jingle You on their account built Jingle You out with a full crit rate, crit damage, whole thing like that, right? Whole kick and caboodle. You could swap this set over to the Herta, and you really wouldn't have to farm that many relics. Relics. Now, I'm not saying it's the best in slot, but I'm saying this is a usable set on her, so if you already have something farmed up for her, or you already have the set farmed up, you could put this set on her, and it would work just fine for her. I don't recommend going and farming for this set right now, because she doesn't really need the crit damage, and I think you're much better off farming the new set in the game right now that gives you increased crit for a 2-piece, and then the other set gives you increased speed. I think this is probably the best Relic set farm in the game right now. Now let's go ahead and talk about those planar sets. Honestly, guys, just run Inazumo, I think that's out of either one of those two. It gives you increased crit rate and increased attack. You're always going to be having an Erudition character on the team. Usually, you would. I don't see you running over that one. So with that being said, run this one so you get the increased crit rate, because she doesn't give herself much of that, so you want as much as possible. Another set you could run if your crit ratios are in check is going to be something like Relics, because Relics gives you an extra 8% crit rate, which is really, really nice. And then on top of this, guys, you're also going to be getting a 20% increase to your skill damage as well, so that's good. But I don't recommend that set all in all. I personally do recommend Inazumo more, but just because of the fact that it does give you more crit rate and makes her easier to build. But now with those sets out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of those main and subsets, guys. For the main stats on the boots, I recommend either speed or attack. If you can get her in check with at least 134 speed, then you could maybe run attack boots here if you have good enough subsets to make this work. Now, if you can't, then obviously just run speed boots here. That's probably going to be the norm here, right? Next is going to be the chest piece, guys. That's going to be crit rate or crit damage. Crit rate is a priority here. She already gives herself so much crit damage that you really want to be focusing on getting that crit rate up, which I would say probably get her crit rate to a minimum of 70% and then go from there. Now on that rope, guys, I would recommend either ERR or attack. She's going to be giving herself energy from one of her talents, so I mean this could be a very good option to run in getting her ultimate back up quicker and back online quicker. But alternatively to that, you could get more damage by running attack percent here. It really depends on how many enemies are on the field, and how many enemies you're able to hit is the amount of energy you're getting back that would really make this viable. So take that for what you will and determine that when you're in the battle, right? I think the better overall piece would probably be attack percentage here. Now finally, guys, for this sphere is going to be ice damage on this sphere. Come on, guys, she's an ice damaging unit. Give her some more damage percentage. She already gives herself attack percentage, so you want as much damage percentage as possible. So let's go ahead and transition into some of those subsets now. Crit rate going to be the absolute necessity here. Other than that, you want to be getting crit damage, attack percentage, and speed. As far as those recommended sets, I would recommend at least 70% on that crit rate, at least 140% on that crit damage, at least 2900 attack on her, and then at least 134 speed. These are all the bare minimums I would want you to hit. Obviously, you can shoot for the stars, go higher. This is bare minimum, like bare bones bullshit right here, guys. Aim for as high as you can get it, guys. But I would recommend getting to at least these minimums first before worrying about anything else. Anyways, guys, what do you think of the Herta? How do you like her? Are you enjoying her on your account yet? Or maybe you're watching this video before she actually came out. Are you pulling for Herta? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe. It's a new year, 2025, another year full of copium. Let's go, gamers. Woo!